Hey there, I just wanted to make a little bit of a video, I guess, to respond to some things that had been in my head for the last couple of weeks, and most importantly to respond to some things that have been happening in Ptbo, I guess. Like, the last few weeks sounds like a bit of a nightmare for those of you who have had to deal with it. I'm really sorry for that. I want to say first of all that it's important that I'm not responding because of some kind of like patriarchal overreach over We Live Here Too. We Live Here Too was always like something that was supposed to be shared and something that was supposed to have changed in scope and intention and meaning and love based on those people who wanted to participate in it. I don't want to silence anyone who has been speaking like vehemently for decades, or people who have been speaking for even weeks on the same matters, trying to educate people who are coming down as really shitty on them. I don't know. It's not for me to like speak up and say, hey, you know what, my voice is more important than those people who are actually like specifically targeted as victims here, and those people who have been speaking out against it for a while now. But I do want to address some things. It seems like this all started, I mean, this is my perspective, but it seems like this all started after a close friend decided to, at the most recent We Live Here Too show in Ptbo, come out of the closet regarding their like genderqueer or gender fluid status. That's really awesome. They felt so great, so comfortable to be around their friends, that they could talk about that, they could share that, and they could use that as a point to talk to their mother about it. That's like really awesome, an awesome thing to have been able to happen, you know what I mean? I don't know about the fallback about that. I don't know how the rest of that has gone out with their family, whatever. We love them, I'm happy, that was a great space. A lot of you, or you know, some of these people who are charged with being like bullies in the situation here seem to have taken upon yourself to like attack this person and then like, you know, intentionally misgender them or do other kinds of like shitty and hurtful things. I don't know, a lot of people have been really upset about this. People who have come to their side as true friends and allies have also been shat on upon you. And like, you know, I'm specifically talking to a group of dudes now, I imagine, who are perpetrating this, but like, fuck, like, you've put someone in the hospital because of their stress over this, you understand this. Like, at what point did bullying be okay? I talked to some of you about this, I talked to a few of you who said, oh, if only someone would explain to us, like, what's going on. Oh, Dan, like, even, sorry, I'm gonna start naming names. Tyler, you asked me to tell you what was wrong with the way that you treated vegans, the way you made jokes about Asians, about women, about how all these things were connected. You just didn't see it. That doesn't make sense to me. How could you not understand? I guess the most recent thing that I've noticed is that a group of dudes like made a fake Facebook account in order to troll the people that they were asked to not talk to because they were damaging and they're being really shitty to them. So you create this like fake feminist wonder babe to like add to all of their friends' networks, assuming that they wouldn't notice that there is no wonder babe in Ptbo. Quite fits that description. In order to start interrogating people about like all kinds of shit. I don't think that you get it. I think this like stems from like something more fundamental. I don't think you understand what feminism is. You make fun of feminists and like feminazis and like, okay, let's joke about that word as much as you want, but like some of us will take it as a point of pride and you can never take that away from us. Feminism is not a war of the genders. It's not or of any genders. It's not a war of like some kind of man versus woman like trying to get this ideology through whoever like manages to succeed as a winner. Like, no, that's more fucked up on a huger scale. Feminism involves like recognizing the oppressive shit that weighs down on all of us. I'd hope that you learn to understand this soon. We're all down here on the fucking bottom, okay? It seems like a lot of this started with regard to like a Halloween article that was being posted around. I'm sure there's lots of them right now. Like, why is your costume racist? Why is your costume inappropriate? Instead of like reading the articles or even beginning to understand them, like this group of dudes have been like taking it as like some kind of, I don't know, personal affront that people are considering their words and actions racist, and they don't get, you know, exactly how we're trying to make it clear. It's fine. I think that the bigger issue is you don't totally get it. The thing about Halloween costumes, for example, is that like dressing up in a native headdress when you are not native is appropriative and problematic because it erases people. That's the truth of what's going on here. There is an erasure on a global level of rights of Indigenous people. In Canada, our entire history is predicated on this erasure, this genocide. You're standing on stolen ground right now. We call it Canada. This is so-called Canada. Please understand this. There are people right now very close to you fighting for environmental protections against things like hydraulic fracturing or fracking. People who are having their homelands poisoned and destroyed. People who have to live in worse than third world conditions because of the genocide and erasure of the Canadian government that is ongoing at the hands of the powers that be. In this case, last week we noticed the RCMP, 200 trained officers, including snipers, descend upon people like peacefully protesting the poisoning of their lands and our entire water supply. I'm not sure you understand what's at stake here. When you put on that headdress and you say, oh, look at me, I'm like a sexy native, you're erasing people who really exist, people who have cultures and history and tradition that is rich, but you are just wiping it clean. I think I need to come clean about We Live Here Too a little bit. I talk about where these words came to me, like in the bio on the website, and like probably in person I've explained that I was pretty deep down in bed rest for a while, and I had a crazy dream. Now, I always talk about this dream kind of loosely, but I want to explain that it was more than a dream. It was a lot closer to something I would call a divination. It was something that reached down and touched me in a very particular way that would mark me for the rest of my life, and there's no other way to explain that or do it justice than by working on those words for the rest of my life. When I said in the dream that some police were knocking at the door trying to shut down a party or a loft party or whatever it was at the time, I mean, it's true that's what happened in the dream, but it was more than that. The police were better equipped than Ptbo and Lakefield regional police would be. They had a dire look. And the person who was directing them wasn't just a neighbor, it was somebody who was very worried about what we were doing, how we were holding on to it, and what that meant as a form of resistance to them. I think it's important to recognize that shit is going to collapse very soon all around us. There's no time for squabbling or misinterpretations of people who claim to be part of the community but don't really get it. I started We Live Here Too as a way to plant some seeds, and I'm not sure much of them has taken root. Again, I don't really want to name names, but like Tyler, for example. Your grinning face is on our website wearing a best friend stick together shirt as you're getting slime poured all over you. Do you remember what those words mean? You're probably the number one person who has joined me in chat, and that's awesome. We had lots of fun chat times, mostly when you're drawing dicks on the wall, but that's fine. Austin, you won tickets from We Live Here Too to Oshiega last year. You stayed in my apartment. I don't know if any of that stuff means anything to you. When I left Ptbo, I gave you all my comics and my Warhammer books and things like that. Whatever. That shit doesn't matter, I know. But it's not like I'm a stranger. It's not like the things that I cared about were so mysterious or so aloft. I figured, maybe naively, that y'all might get it. And not just because of some osmosis, some kind of presence to me, but because you were maybe thinking about those words too. Maybe you were thinking a little bit about what it means to be marginal. Maybe not. William, I don't even know where to start. We have such a history, and you implored me when this all started to not think of you any differently, but unfortunately your actions shape that perspective. I don't know what to say. I was asked to make a response to what's going on in Ptbo because some people have suggested that I've taken a neutral stance on it, or that I've even chosen a side. That should be obvious by now. That's not the case. It's not about being neutral. It's about respecting the people who are the actual victims in the situation and how they've responded. I don't want to swoop in as an overreaching patriarch of a project that involves us all, that we're all implicated in. That's the whole point. The first word is we, right? I want their voices, their responses, their frustrations to be heard and understood first and primarily. It's about agency, it's about survival, it's about a lot of things. And I wish that we would learn to stick together again. I don't know.